Littering effects. Littering affects the environment in many ways. It affects us, the animals, and the plants that are here with us on Earth. Litter can be anything from cigarette butts to plastic bags to paper cups. These items all affect any part of our environment, so much so that we often don't even notice it. This blog post will discuss how litter affects your environment and what you can do about it. Littering effects on human health. Littering is a significant issue in our society, and it has many harmful effects on the human body. The act of litter creates more trash bags than necessary to hold all that waste. These plastic sacks are not biodegradable or recyclable like most other plastics, and they will stay around for years if left alone, unless completely incinerated at an industrial level with no emissions created by gases from the decomposition process, which would be impossible. That's why we need your help. Littered areas have increased hazards for humans as well as animals, such as trash fires releasing toxic fumes into our air supply. Additionally, polluted lakes and oceans often trap plastics in their depths where they will potentially never degrade. This could cause issues down the line like ocean acidification due to toxins leaching out over time through plastics' chemical composition properties. Litter is more than just an eyesore, it's also dangerous for humans. The harmful chemicals and bacteria that litters contain may lead to chronic illnesses, such as respiratory infections or asthma because people are exposed when they breathe polluted air. Furthermore, even though most of us do our best not to touch trash once we've disposed of it properly, especially if recyclables like plastics bottles make up part of the mix, this isn't always enough. There are viruses associated with some forms of plastic, like polypropylene, that don't seem affected by high-heat sterilization methods used in many recycling plants around the world. Littering effects on ecosystem. Littering is a primary concern for the ecosystem. It can be found in every environment, from your neighborhood to remote wilderness areas and even the deepest ocean floors. In many cases, the litter will also exist on land where it was not dropped. These piles of garbage are called littered. Animals will often eat the litter, and while doing this, they may also be negatively affected by it. For instance, many animals have been found with stomachs full of plastic bags which are unable to digest them because their stomach acid is too weak in order for that process to take place. The results can lead to an animal's death due to starvation or dehydration as a result of these indigestible items clogging its system so much that any food cannot enter the bloodstream anymore. Plastic bag ingestion has led some species such as vultures endemic in Africa and Asia, Gyps fulvus, populations causing population declines up from 50% over just 40 years ago since there were not enough left alive who could reproduce successfully during breeding seasons. Littering effects. Littering effects on animals. Litter is a serious problem for animals. They not only have to deal with the litter but also various other trash on their territory that humans leave behind. This can cause issues such as intestinal blockages and injuries by sharp objects in addition to removing all of the food sources from an area. In the United States, an estimated 1.4 million tons of litter is generated every year, and it has been shown that many animals are adversely affected by this waste. For example, some birds will eat pieces of plastic or other material if they mistake them for food because these plastics resemble worms and insects on which they prey in their natural habitat. Turtles can ingest cigarette butts while basking near water sources. Marine mammals may be accidentally entangled in fishing gear or nets when swimming through discarded netting from shrimp trawlers. These wastes also contribute to climate change as microplastics absorb the sun's heat more than twice as well as carbon dioxide, which helps make up about 1/3 of all human greenhouse gas emissions. Littering effects on aquatic life. Litter is an environmental concern as it can harm aquatic life. Littered items such as plastic bottles, cans, and food wrappers are often mistaken for prey by fish which consumes the litter instead of natural foods or other means to survive. This poses a threat not only in regards to their health but also because they may be unable to find any more food due to lack of sustenance from consuming all that was available. There is a lot of litter that harms aquatic life. The trash in the ocean can be mistaken for food by marine mammals and fish, which leads to ingested debris, causing illness or death. There are also cases where animals consume pieces of plastic bags thinking they're jellyfish. The effects on humans who eat seafood caught in these areas due to pollutants such as PCBs and DDT have not been studied thoroughly, but it's safe to say those individuals will experience health issues, too, over time. Littering effects on plants. Litter is a plague on our planet. It's everywhere, an unsightly mess that gets in the way and ruins everything it touches. Its effects are especially devastating for plants who have to contend with all sorts of trash like broken pieces of glass or discarded plastic bags which can suffocate their roots or pile up around them until they're choked out by debris rather than let nature take its course as intended. Littered areas consequently often lack vegetation because so little light breaks through the trees when there isn't any space between branches. Animals end up using these patches of land more, too, since food sources aren't readily available elsewhere due to being covered under junk. But this only makes matters worse. There may be some hope yet. The effects of garbage on plants are detrimental. While most people know that the smell is unpleasant, it turns out this doesn't just go away after a day or two. In fact, it can be deadly for many types of plant life and even affect their ability to grow new shoots. Littering effects. Littering effects on agriculture. Litter is a massive problem for agriculture. The effects of litter on agricultural land, waterways, and the atmosphere are disastrous. Litter can smother crops or choke animals that come across it in streams. Litter is a big problem for the agricultural industry. It can lead to reduced crop yields, increased costs of production and lower profits due to its negative impact on water quality and cropland, all which put farmers at risk financially. They might also lose access if they have contracts with landowners about how much land will be used under what conditions, or even worse, get fined. The good news? There are ways that you as citizen/consumer could help solve this issue by practicing litter-less lifestyles, such as bringing your own bag when grocery shopping, or better yet not having one at all. So next time. Littering effects on climate change. It is a well-known fact that the planet's climate changes because of greenhouse gases. However, it turns out these emissions are not only coming from our cars and factories, but they're also being emitted by chimneys, wood stoves, landfills, gas pipes, and more. That means all those people who think recycling their garbage will reduce its carbon footprint may be wrong. Even if you buy organic fruit in your reusable grocery bags at Whole Foods Market, which uses renewable energy, put on high heels to walk around downtown Los Angeles for an hour before getting back into your car to go home, the emission count still doesn't add up. A recent study by the World Bank identified that using garbage for fuel can significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions, even when accounting for methane leakage. This is because modern waste disposal methods are often inefficient and generate large amounts of biomass, burning pollution to produce energy from landfill decomposition or incineration. Littering effects on global warming. As the world's population increases, so does its consumption of goods. This has led to the rise in global warming and pollution from waste disposal sites such as landfills and dump sites. Littering is a significant contributor to this problem because it releases hazardous materials into environments that can be absorbed by humans or other animals through contact with soil, water supplies for drinking or bathing, food crops grown on polluted soils, etc., thereby increasing health risks. Litter is a significant contributor to global warming. But this can be easily combated by picking up the litter from our streets and parks. Unfortunately, there are people who think it's their right to leave their garbage out for others to clean up instead of doing something about it themselves. I propose that we make an effort not only in cleaning up after ourselves but also leaving notes around with words like please or thank you. This will teach those irresponsible piles of trash what manners really mean, while making us feel great inside knowing every little bit helps reduce pollution and improve our well-being as well. Littering effects on the economy. The amount spent on cleanup comes at a huge price. Lost workdays due to illness, nearly 30% in some cities, reduced economic productivity, $9 billion annually, as well as travel delays costing billions nationwide. In addition, there are serious environmental consequences such as eating habits. Littering is a common problem that affects the environment and economy. It can have an adverse effect on tourism, fishing, hunting, or other outdoor activities. Littered areas are dirty and unattractive to tourists who might not want their memories of vacation time spent in such a less than desirable place. Areas with litter also tend to attract pests like rats, which won't just get rid of it for you either. The littering effects can be felt throughout your community if trash ends up clogging storm drains, leading to flooding during rainy seasons when water isn't able to flow through properly, causing more problems downstream from the overflow point where this pollution builds up against banks until they collapse into waterways, polluting ecosystems, making everything problematic for everybody involved. Littering effects. Littering effects on the ozone layer. Littering effects produces huge problems for the environment and also for your health. When you throw something on the ground or leave it behind in an area not designated as trash can space, that item becomes litter and produces harmful substances called ozone-depleting gases, SDGs. SDGs cause holes in our Earth's protective shielding, the ozone layer. This means we are more susceptible to ultraviolet radiation from both natural sources like sunlight and artificial ones such as lasers, which cause skin cancer and eye damage, among other things, if exposed too long enough. The good news, each of us has power over this issue by choosing what we do with every piece of garbage that passes through our hands. Littering effects on acid rain. Litter has been shown through studies performed by Dr. Thomas Eisner said back in 1962 that this form of a trash can actually has effects on what's known today as acid rain. Littering effects are contributors to acid rain. In 1962, a scientist named Thomas Eisner found that as litter breaks down in sunlight and water, it releases chemicals that contribute to acidifying runoff from rainfall. This is because plastics are not broken down by bacteria when left out like other organic materials such as leaves or twigs would be naturally. Instead, they leach chemical additives designed for use with their particular plastic type, so if these types were mixed together, there would likely be an increased chance of more potential toxins being released into our environment. Littering effects on non-living things. Littering is bad for the environment not only because it leaves its mark on the rocks but also because the litter can cause erosion. Littering effects on mountains is a huge problem, and it's not hard to see why. Mountains are beautiful places that people love hiking up in order to get the best views of all their surroundings. But what happens when they leave behind empty water bottles or garbage? The next time someone comes along looking for an adventure, they may find themselves climbing over piles of trash left by other hikers who came before them. This needs to stop because litter can cause harmful effects like erosion and pollution as well as disrupt wildlife habitats near its vicinity. No one wants this kind of damage done where we live now, do you?